क्षेत्रेषु सारतमम् क्षेत्रचतुष्टयमाह क्षेत्रेषु इति श्रीरङ्गम् वेङ्कटाद्रिश्च हस्तिशैलस्त्वनन्तरम् ततो नारायणाद्रिश्च मम धाम चतुष्टयम् एवमुक्तं भगवता साक्षान्नारायणेन हि एवमुक्तं भगवता साक्षान्नारायणेन हि.
Melukote, a Sri Vaishnava religious centre, also known as Tirunarayanapura, a sacred place, is situated 100 miles from Bengaluru. Though close to the Silicon City, the temple town is untouched by urban influences. It is an agrahara reflecting the unique cultural traditions of South India. The temple at Melukote is dedicated to Sri Cheluvanarayana Swami for its socio-cultural ambience. The tradition of offerings and rituals has aesthetic and philosophical significance, customarily performed even today as prescribed by Sri Ramanujacharya almost 1000 years ago.
कुटिं कृत्वा तस्मिन् यदुगिरीतटे नित्यवसतिः कुटिं कृत्वा तस्मिन् यदुगिरीतटे नित्यवसतिः.
If one were incapable of understanding Sri Bhashya or Divya Prabandha, at least build a hut in Yedugiri Melukote to get the benign grace of God Cheluvanarayana Swami. This was the kind advice of Sri Ramanujacharya to his disciples. Cheluva means charismatic, and indeed he has to be seen to be believed at the shrine of Melukote. The ancient Yedugiri or Yadavgiri is the historical Melukote, an Alaya Ashrita Grama, a place evolved for the sake of the temple tradition, patronized by Hoysala, Vijayanagara, Mysore Wadeyar times, including Tipu Sultan. The temple complex of Tirunarayana, that is Cheluvanarayana Swami, the focal point of all ritualistic activities connected with Kalyani, the sacred tank, and the Yoga Narasimha Swami temple at the hillock. The colonnade around the main temple, the four Agrahara streets, Yatiraj Matha, Chariot Street, Rajabidi, the Royal Street, Raya Gopura, Kotha Rotsafa Mandapa, Shrine of Vedanta Desikar, Shrine of Nammalvar, the shrines and mantapas, Dhara Mantapa, Bhuvaneshwari Mantapa around the Kalyani are all the entourage structures where all utsavas take place. The Mukhya Dwara, temple entrance, temple quadrangle, Dhvajastambha, corridor Mantapa all around, Chatusthana Mantapa, Yagashala, Ranga Mantapa, temple terrace, shrines of Sri Ramanuja, Navaranga of Sri Cheluvanarayana Swami, Tayar Sonidhi, shrine of Shelva Pillai and consorts, shrine of Vishwaksena, shrine of Krishna Raja Vodiyar III, shrine of Manawala Mamuni and other minor shrines are the inner ritualistic structure come to life during Nitya Puja and special Utsavas. Sri Ramanujacharya had to leave Sri Rangam in compulsion and marched towards the north. The path of Ramanuja is traced through the course of the river Kaveri. he stepped into the territory of Karnataka, where Hoysala Vishnuvardhana was ruling in the early 12th century. He reached the Vahni Pushkarni Kshetra, the present Ramanathapura, then walked further and reached a small hamlet, Saligrama.
It would have been a legend but for an inscription which is on the lintel of this Sripada Tirtha, a sacred tank where the three disciples of Sri Ramanuja from Sriranga monastery known as Yambar, Alvan and Achan have washed his sacred feet and established a monastery here, and also has given endowment for continuing his presence in this place. So when we see the environment here and also the inscription which speaks very clearly about his presence and establishes the fact that Saligrama was one of the very important place and the first documentary evidence of Ramanujacharya's presence in Karnataka.
The saint proceeds further and reaches Tondanuru. Impressed by the serene atmosphere and reverence for Vaishnava faith, Saint Ramanuja, along with his disciples and followers, ceased his wandering life here. Tondanuru, known as Yadavpura, was the second political capital of the Hoysalas. The Yoga Narasimha temple became the Karyasthana of Sri Ramanuja. Sri Ramanujacharya's stay at Tondanuru for 6 years is one of the most significant events in the Vaishnava movement. Tondanuru Utsava. The rising sun about 1000 years ago enlightened Melukote in the form of Sri Ramanuja. From Tondanuru, Ramanuja arrives on the banks of Kalyani, received by Nambi, the host family, with great reverence.
श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवं यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम्।
विष्णुवर्धन रक्षकाय नमः ओं बौद्धध्वान्त सहस्रांशुवे नमः ओं शेषरूप प्रदर्शकाय नमः ओं नगरीकृत वेदाद्रिये नमः ओं यतिराजाय नमः ओं जगद्गुरवे नमः ओं श्रीमते रामानुजाय नमो नमः।
Sri Acharya was taken to the temple entrance, offered padya, arghya, milk and tulsi archana. With folded hands, Acharya enters the temple. The host family show their respect by arranging all kinds of fruits. In a procession, the disciples take all the puja articles befitting to Sri Acharya. All disciples breathtakingly participating in this divine mission. Sri Ramanuja enters the inner chamber and waits at the threshold. A divine summoning and sacred mission transpired between the master and the choicest bhakta, Sri Ramanuja. His passion to worship Cheluvanarayana Swami for 12 years transformed Melukote as the Divya Desha. Today, Sri Ramanujacharya's entry to Melukote is celebrated as Tondanuru Utsava. Puja Paddhitis and Utsavas. Sri Ramanujacharya visualized the rituals and festivals to be conducted on a grand scale on the basis of Pancha Ratragama. In the year 1117, the Acharya established guidelines for the conduct and maintenance of services in Melukote under his immediate supervision. 52 Sri Vaishnavas were brought from Sri Rangam and deployed for ritual services.
ಈ ಮೇಲುಕೋಟೆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ವಿವರಗಳನ್ನು ಈ ಆಯ್ಕಟ್ಟು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಿರ್ಮಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ನಿರ್ಮಿಸಿದರ ಔಚಿತ್ಯವನ್ನು ಮುಮ್ಮಡಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣರಾಜ ಒಡೆಯರು ಮನಗೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರ ಅರಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ ಕೃಷ್ಣಸ್ವಾಮಿ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಮೇಲುಕೋಟೆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ಯಥಾವತ್ತಾಗಿ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರವಿಧಿಯಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ಈ ಆಯಕಟ್ಟಿನ ಕಾಪಿಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ ಕೃಷ್ಣಸ್ವಾಮಿ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ತರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ಈ ಮೇಲುಕೋಟೆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಿಚಾರಗಳು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ, ಉತ್ಸವಾದಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ ಇತ್ಯಾದಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ವಿವರವಾಗಿ ಇದು ಆಯಕಟ್ಟು ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಅಂತ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಸರು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸವಿವರವಾಗಿ ಬರೆದಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ರಾಮಾನುಜಾಚಾರ್ಯರು ಈ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರವನ್ನು ಜೀರ್ಣೋದ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಶ್ರೀರಂಗದಿಂದ ಈ ಪಾಂಚರಾತ್ರಾಗಮ ಪ್ರಕಾರವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅರ್ಚಕರುಗಳು ಅಂದರೆ ಔಪಗಾಯನ ಗೋತ್ರ, ಕಾತ್ಯಾಯನ ಸೂತ್ರದವರನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೈಂಕರ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಪೂಜಾದಿ ಕೈಂಕರ್ಯಗಳಿಗೆ ನೇಮಿಸಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ. ಮುಖ್ಯ ಉತ್ಸವಗಳು ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ವೈರಮುಡಿ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮೋತ್ಸವ, ಎರಡನೇದು ಕೃಷ್ಣರಾಜಮುಡಿ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮೋತ್ಸವ, ಮೂರನೇದು ಅಷ್ಟತೀರ್ಥ ರಾಜಮುಡಿ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮೋತ್ಸವ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ 3 ಬ್ರಹ್ಮೋತ್ಸವಗಳು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನವಾಹೋತ್ಸವಗಳು, 9 ದಿನದ ಉತ್ಸವಗಳು. ಈ ಉತ್ಸವಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಆಗಮ ಪ್ರಕಾರವಾಗಿಯೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತದೆ ಹೊರತು ಬೇರೆ ಇನ್ನೇನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Nitya Puja daily rituals commence early in the morning. Fetching of sacred water, temple music, sthanikas, archakas assemble. A simple Tiruvaradhana offered first to Sri Ramanuja, Gopracha, Upcharas are offered, Suprabhata, Vishvarupa Darshana, offering of Mantra Pushpam, Shaktu Morai, sacred chanting takes place. Naivedyam and different kinds of aratis are offered. Trikala Puja, 3 times puja is offered on a daily basis. In a similar manner, Nitya Puja is offered to Yadugiri Tayar. Angamani Utsava. The first important Utsava of the temple calendar commences with the Abhisheka to the consorts Sri Devi and Bhudevi. Kalasha Sthapana is just completed. Devis are offered Abhisheka. Abhishekam is based on Narayanopanishad. Manjal Kapu, offering of turmeric, symbolizes Saubhagya. Pancharatragama refers to the episode of Mrigaya Utsava. This Angamani Utsava is part of this ritual. The principal members of the temple services are honored. The consorts of God Cheluvanarayana enact here as daughters. The significance of this Utsava is observing Kanu festival when the daughters visit their parents. Devis are set in a procession to Kalyani for Ganga Puja, followed with offerings and Ariyar Seva, a special musical tradition practiced in Sri Vaishnava temple tradition. The procession is returning to the temple. Turmeric is distributed to devotees. To mark the vihara of Devis, the central halls of Karagam family and the Sajay Hatti family homes, the birthplace of Devis, are decorated. All varieties of fruits and flowers are tastefully arranged for the reception. The priest families are eagerly waiting to receive their divine daughters. But the divine daughters are getting ready, dressed in the traditional Sri Vaishnava style. Special headdress to ward off evil, placed a black dot too. The procession is moving ahead with all pomp and pleasure. All communities take part, offering their services to these divine daughters. They arrive at the Mantapa. The offerings are made from the parental home with great care and love. They want to stay longer, but ultimately they have to return to their husband's place. The Devi's return procession is on dragging strode and note. Slowly they reach the temple entrance. Cheluvanarayana, as a typical enraged husband in fits of anger, goes out of the temple, not even looking at Devis. In furious moods, he quits and mounts on his horse and goes out of Rajbidi. Oh alas, the rabbits cross his path. He returns to the temple and makes peace with the consorts. Angamani Utsava is a rare enactment of tender feeling, family sentiments, interaction between the divine persona and mundane human beings. It is a lifetime experience of Indian family values. Brahmotsava, Mudi Utsava. Vairamudi, the legendary Diamond Crown Festival, is observed as Brahmotsava in Melukote, one of the spectacular festival of festivals. The 64 rituals are observed in 10 days. On the 4th day of Brahmotsava, the Vairamudi ceremonial crown is specially brought from the district treasury of Mandya town. The Karagam and other Sthanika family take charge. The Vairamudi and Rajumudi are brought on a vehicle under tight security. At the entrance of Melukote, these invaluable, unparalleled ceremonial crowns are placed in a palanquin and brought into the precincts of the temple. Government officers, Pradhana Archaka, 52 Vaishnava families gather to check and verify before taking charge of Rajamudi, the huge pendant, and Alvar Padmapitha. The crown Vairamudi has earned admiration and reverence. Even the Archakas are not allowed to touch or see it directly. The event of Garuda carrying the Mudi is enacted, suggesting Garuda doing a security check before the VVIP visit, that is, of the god himself. Shelva Pillai, mounted on Garuda with his consorts, emerges out of the temple wearing the exquisite crown, decked in precious jewels and flowers. Going gently with swaying movements, he gives Divya Darshana to every devotee. It is a huge congregation. It continues till early in the morning. Vairamudi is not to be seen in daylight. It is replaced by Rajamudi, a crown donated by Raja Wadiyar in the 16th century. Immediately, the Vairamudi is taken with security in a vehicle to the treasury. The Adhyapakas, Aradhakas, Bhaktas Men, women, children from villages around sing and dance in joy during Vairamudi festival through the entire night. As part of Brahmotsava, the third day Nagavalli Utsava is conducted. The bride, Kalyana Nayaki, and bridegroom, Sampath Kumara, dressed beautifully, placed facing each other in a golden palanquin, taken to the Kalyani as a vihara, an outing. This is an evening ritual. Sampath Kumaraswamy, dressed as Mahavishnu, is taken in a procession. This is known as Chandramandala Vahana Utsava. This crescent shape is an artistic appeal in the realm of temple celebrations. On the eighth day, Tepotsava, a procession in the twilight in Kalyani, is beautifully arranged and experienced by devotees in large number. Dolotsava. Here, Shelva Pillai with his consorts enjoy themselves seated on a swing. While the procession is carried on horse, an enactment takes place. As Kallara Sulige, a loot by the thief. One of the 12 alvars, Tirumangai Alvar, looted the people to renovate Sri Rangam temple. Here he is trying to loot the god to complete his divine mission. Finally, on the last day, it is Sherti Seve. Sampath Kumara, the procession deity, joins the god Cheluva Narayana to give Divya Darshan to the devotees. Veyil Malige Utsava. Here God Shelva Pillai is carried to the temple terrace and unveiled to have Divya Darshana. The Swamin and the limited number of bhaktas take a stroll on the summer evening after the hectic 10 days Brahmotsava festival. Sri Ramanujacharya visualized God Shelva Pillai in the form of Paravasudeva and prescribed the process of Veyil Malige Utsava. Among the forms of Mahavishnu, Paravasudeva, also known as Adimurti, is transcendental, associated with the Paramapada, the divine abode Vaikuntha, where Mahavishnu is seated in Leelasana posture, resting on the coils of Adishesha, spread on the head as a parole. His relaxed attitude indicates quietude to his worshippers. He is subtle and corporeal and the cause of final emancipation. The Adhyapakas are singing from Sangita Ramayana. Through this ritual, the environment acquires a state of trance. The second part of Utsava is Paravasudeva, descending from the terrace, and is enacted in the pillared hall. Saint Ramanuja visualized this festival in a special manner. He wanted to experience the childhood pranks of his beloved Swamin. The god stops abruptly like an angered child, runs, demands something difficult to fetch, goes an unrhythmic speed. When pleased, going in swaying movement. To please him, are also running and swinging. Is he pleased? Oh no, again throwing temper tantrums. He exits. Oh, what an experience. Bhashyakara Tirunakshatra. the celebration of the renal star of Sri Ramanujacharya. The morning session commences with collecting and carrying Shuddhodaka, sacred water, in a procession with temple music for the ceremonial bath to be offered to Sri Ramanujacharya. Ganga Puja is offered, the sacred rivers to descend. The procession is led by Manegara, carrying a silver staff, circumambulates the precincts of the main temple. Chanting session takes place. Neratam and Nityanusandhana passages are recited. Devotional passages in Manipravalam language are sung. Turyanada, the exalted musical rendering, is taking place to herald the entry of Sri Ramanuja in this shrine. Panchakala Shodaka and Abhisheka ingredients are ready for consecration. The principal hereditary Archaka of Sri Ramanuja shrine consecrates Abhisheka Dravya. The ceremonial bath to Sri Bhashyakara Ramanuja begins with all reverence. Tiruvaradhana is offered number of times, known as Yati Snana. The Sesha Vastra, the sacred cloth from Cheluva Narayana Swami, is offered to Yati Raja Sri Ramanujacharya. The disciple of Sri Ramanuja, Kurattalvar, a noble soul who protected his master at personal risk, participates in all rituals. Purusha Sukta is recited when holy bath takes place. Prasada is distributed to devotees. Sri Ramanuja is decked with choicest jewels and garlands, seated on a throne in the capacity of Yati Raja. Yati Raja, on his birthday, smeared with sandal paste with folded hands, visits Sri Rama shrine. Sri Ramanuja is the form of Lakshmana. Anuja is younger brother. Saint considered himself with great devotion, visits his brother. Sri Ramanuja visits the shrine of Vedanta Desikar. Here, the saint is honored. Yati Raja Saptati is recited. Sri Ramanuja visits the respected Manavala Mamuni. Yati Raja Vimsati is recited. After Sri Ramanuja blesses the disciples in their own shrine, the Acharya wishes to have Divya Darshana of Dash Avataras, 10 incarnations of Mahavishnu. Swami displays before his renowned Bhakta Sri Ramanuja. Divya Prabandha is sung in all reverence and devotion. It is almost late in the night. God Sampat Kumara with consorts visits Sri Ramanuja in his shrine. Arayar Seva and other offerings are made. The Bhashyakara Tirunakshatra, a testimony of gratitude, respect and love for the Acharya tradition. In the year 2017, celebrations of 1000 years of Sri Ramanuja Tirunakshatra in daily rituals. Sri Tirunarayana Jiyar of Yati Raja Matha offerings Abhisheka at Yati Raja Matha, Bengaluru.
Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha Tasmai Ramanujariyaya Namah Paramayogine Yesh Shruti Smriti Sutranam Antarjaramashishimate. ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ರಾಮಾನುಜರ ಸಹಸ್ರಮಾನೋತ್ಸವದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೆಷ್ಟು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು, ಸಮಾರಂಭಗಳು ವಿಭಿನ್ನವಾದಂತಹ ಸಮಾರಂಭಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ನೆರವೇರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ರಾಮಾನುಜರ ಕೃಪೆಯಿಂದ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ರಾಮಾನುಜರು ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯ ಕಾರಣಗಳಿಂದ ತಮಿಳುನಾಡಿನಿಂದ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಆಗಮನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ಯುಗವನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ, ಅಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮ ಹೀಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಕಾರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ರಾಮಾನುಜರು ಅಪೂರ್ವವಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಭಾವವನ್ನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೀರ್ತಾರೆ. ಕನ್ನಡ ನಾಡಿನ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ಯುಗ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ರಾಮಾನುಜರು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಮೇಲುಕೋಟೆಗೆ ಬಂದು ಕಾಡಾಗಿದ್ದಂತಹ ಸ್ಥಳವನ್ನು ಊರು ಮಾಡಿದರು. ನಿರ್ಜನ ಪ್ರದೇಶವಾದಂತಹ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದಂತಹ ದಿವ್ಯ ಮಂದಿರವನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿದರು. ಹುತ್ತದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡಗಿದ್ದಂತಹ ತಿರುನಾರಾಯಣನನ್ನು ಹಾಲಿನಿಂದ ಕರಗಿಸಿ ಭಕ್ತರೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ದರ್ಶನ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ರು. ದೂರದಿಂದ ಆ ಶಲ್ವೆಪಿಳ್ಳೆಯನ್ನು ಚಲವನಾರಾಯಣನನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಲಮೂರ್ತಿ ಹತ್ರ ಪ್ರತಿಷ್ಠಾಪನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಆ ಮೂರ್ತಿಗೆ, ಆ ಶಲ್ವೆಪಿಳ್ಳೆಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ, ಪಕ್ಷೋತ್ಸವ, ಮಾಸೋತ್ಸವ, ಸಂವತ್ಸರೋತ್ಸವ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮೋತ್ಸವಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲುಕೋಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿನಿತ್ಯವೂ ಆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗೆ ಉತ್ಸವ. ಇದು ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ರಾಮಾನುಜರ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯಿಂದ ಆಗಿದ್ದು. ಆರಂಭದಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಸಂಕ್ರಾಂತಿ ಉತ್ಸವ, ಯುಗಾದಿ ಉತ್ಸವ, ಪಲ್ಲವೋತ್ಸವ, ವಸಂತೋತ್ಸವ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮೋತ್ಸವ, ಧನುರ್ಮಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ಸವಗಳು, ಅದೆಷ್ಟು ಉತ್ಸವಗಳ ಸಂಭ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ರಾಮಾನುಜರು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಉತ್ಸವ ಮತ್ತು ಶಲ್ವಪಿಳ್ಳೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮೇಲುಕೋಟೆ ಅವಿನಾ ಸಂಬಂಧದಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂತಹ ಉತ್ಸವಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬಹಳ ಅಮೂಲ್ಯವಾದಂತಹ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಚಿತ್ರೀಕರಿಸಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು CD ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಪ್ರಕಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ರಾಮಾನುಜರ ಸಹಸ್ರಮಾನೋತ್ಸವದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಅಪೂರ್ವವಾದಂತಹ ಪುಷ್ಪಗಳನ್ನು ಈ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಕಾರಣ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಚೂಡಾಮಣಿ ನಂದಗೋಪಾಲ್ ಅವರು ಬಹಳ ಶ್ರಮವಹಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 10 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ತಪಸ್ಸು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಉತ್ಸವಗಳ ಚಿತ್ರೀಕರಣಗಳ CD ಒಂದು ಲೋಕಾರ್ಪಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ಸಮಗ್ರವಾದಂಥ ಗ್ರಂಥ, ಮೇಲುಕೋಟೆಯ ಕುರಿತಾದಂಥ ಗ್ರಂಥ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದು ಆ ಕೃತಿಯೂ ಸಹ ಇದು ಲೋಕಾರ್ಪಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈ 2 ಕೃತಿನ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರೂ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಹೇಗೆ ಭಗವಂತನ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಈ 2 ಕೃತಿಗಳು, ಒಂದು CD, ಒಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕ, ಇದೆರಡೂ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರೆ ಅನರ್ಘ್ಯವಾದಂತಹ ರತ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಚೂಡಾಮಣಿ ನಂದಗೋಪಾಲ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಾರ್ದಿಕವಾದಂಥ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳು. ಶ್ರೀಮತೆ ರಾಮಾನುಜಾಯ ನಮಃ.
Moola Devara Abhisheka, ceremonial bath to the principal deity. The second Brahmotsava at the temple. The significance of this festival is offering ceremonial bath to the main deity, Sri Cheluvanarayana Swami. Only 2 times in a year the Moola Murti can be seen in original form during Maha Abhisheka. Otherwise, God is seen always resplendent with fine silks, jewels and colourful garlands. Ananta Kalasha is a kind of snapana which would fulfill all wishes and observed for the welfare of humanity. Ritual bath to Kalyana Nayaki Shelva Pillai and consorts. Sri Ramanuja. Kalasha Sthapana Vidhi. Abhisheka Dravya Shuddhikarana, purificatory rituals. Archakas and designated members of the Cheluvanarayana temple community take their position to assist the main priest in the ritual of Abhisheka. In total, 81 kalashas are installed in the mandala. The Joyce is chanting Pravara, Sankalpa, Nakshatra of Cheluvanarayana Swami. The kalashas are taken to the main shrine. The Cheluvanarayana Swami is getting ready for the ceremonial bath. Abhisheka is conducted elaborately. Auspicious sight of the principal deity is a rare opportunity. Manjay Kapu Abhisheka. Lastly, Agrodaka Kalasha, the main Kalasha, is taken in procession. Offering of the Agrodaka Kalasha Abhisheka, Cheluvanarayana Swami emerges in this form to give Divya Darshana to his bhaktas. On the same day, the birthday celebrations of another royal great, Bhakta Sri Krishna Raja Vodiyar, is celebrated. The king and his queens are bestowed with honorific offerings coming from the Swami as blessings. Kalyanotsava is also celebrated at the behest of Krishna Raja Mudi Utsava. This was a request made by the king to view the marriage ceremony. This is held in front of Tayar shrine. To add a great festival atmosphere, Krishna Raja Vodiyar donated Krishna Raja Mudi. This festival is celebrated in the name of this exquisite crown known as Krishna Raja Mudi. Sri Ramanuja no doubt prescribed ritual procedure. In addition, these utsavas are added later. That shows there was a scope to include festivals in the temple calendar almost 600 years later. Vardhanti Utsava of Tayar Tiruvadipuram festival. On the Pobba Nakshatra, the birthday celebrations of Tayar are conducted. The festival is observed for 7 days. Every day, part of Divya Prabandha are chanted. Dancers offer seva. Sampath Kumaraswamy and his consorts arrive at Tayar shrine. The shrine of Tayar is decorated with fine silks and mirrors. Panchopachara is offered. Shayan Utsava is observed here. It is a beautiful occasion to experience the way the feminine principle is revered. Kalyanotsava. The marriage ritual for Kalyana Nayaki, the processional image of Tayar. It is the celebration of the marriage ceremony of Yadugiri Tayar. The goddess, decked in the choicest jewels and beautiful silk sari, coming out of her shrine and proceeds towards Kalyani. Vishwaksena, the commander-in-chief of gods, taking around to supervise the arrangements of divine marriage. Sri Ramanuja, experiencing as the father of the bridegroom, facing the Lord, leads the procession to Kalyani. The celestial bridegroom, Sri Sampath Kumaraswamy, elegantly dressed, emerges with his people. Vadhu-vara Samagama taking place. Special Aradhana is held. Along with Mangala Vadya, the auspicious moment is struck. It is a divine experience to view Sambandhamalai, the exchange of garlands. The divine couple are seated on the swing. The divine marriage comprises of only a few features according to Agamic canons, such as Bhikshana, Panigrahana, Parinaya, Saptapadi, Lajahoma. Sankalpa Vidhi is always chanted by the member of the Shastri family and Advaiti prescribed by Sri Ramanuja. Agni Parinaya, taking rounds around the sacred fire by the bride and groom, signify the sanctity in marriage. Sampath Kumar Bhattar is performing Laja Homa. Mangala Dravya for the marriage is offered by the Parakala Matha. Golden ritual utensils donated by Krishna Raja Vodiyar III is specially brought for the ceremony. The members of the temple community are honored. The marriage procession returns to the temple in an order, led by Swamin, followed by Tayar, and then Sri Ramanuja, signifying Ram, Sita, followed by Lakshmana. This is a symbolic representation of the Sri Vaishnava philosophy. The bhakta devotionally yearns to go closer to the master only when the female energy, the Sri, that is Tayar, is propitiated. The longing desire of Sri Ramanuja to view the Kalyanotsava is cherished. The spiritual bliss Sri Ramanuja experienced is shared by the devotees here in Kalyanotsava. Such simple beliefs of the people go beyond sectarian differences, leading to social harmony. Pavitrotsava or Prayashchitta Seva, the ritual of purification. This is Navaranga Mantapa, erected for Pavitrotsava, having 4 doors to the cardinal directions, symbolizing the purificatory space. A sacred space created before Raja Vodiyar pillar, placing 9 kalashas. Rituals of Pavitrotsava is very significant, conducted with great reverence by the inner circle of the temple order to seek demency of God for all known and unknown commissions and omissions that might have occurred during the year-long puja. It is the strict observance of 7 days, chanting of 7 kandas of Krishna Yajurveda. The mandala, the kalasha, the pita are invoked every day as part of the ritual. In Yagashala, pavitras made of silk thread with specification to each deity of the town is consecrated in Yagashala. Pavitras are cords of consecration and purification tied to each and every object and member involved in the ritual system. Pavitra Dharana, the ritual of offering the sets of Pavitra according to Ishvara Samhita. 12 Pavitras to Cheluva Narayana Swami. The lengthiest Pavitra is known as Vanamala. Tayar also offered with 12 Pavitras. Sampath Kumaraswamy offered with 12 pavitras. Yoga Narasimha Swami on hill with 12 pavitras. Pavitras are offered to Dwar Palakas, ritual utensils, bells, and even structures on the terrace, Balipita and Alvar images and other acharyas, including Sri Ramanuja. Evening Pavitra Visarjana procedure, untying of Pavitra, takes place in the same order. The making of pavitras itself is an art. Every household in Melukote shoulders the responsibility in making pavitras. The Pavitrotsava evokes in the hearts of devotees in general and the temple community in particular a sense of grace, confidence, faith, relief, and gratitude towards God in the realm of the temple tradition. Kotharotsava, Adhyayan Otsava, Moksh Otsava. This is a unique Utsava performed in the Sri Vaishnava temple tradition. It is commemorating the contributions of the Alvars and Acharyas who have established the literary and philosophical chanting tradition. The Adhyapakas in Melukote take pride in celebrating the congregation of scholarly disposition. The icons of Alvars in Melukote are endowed with spiritual charm not found anywhere else. During morning sessions, the Alvars and Acharyas, dressed in white, come to the Vidvat Goshti, scholarly session, one by one, and take positions in Navaranga of the main shrine. Adhyayan Goshti commences with the chanting of Pashurams in the presence of Sri Ramanuja. After Shattu Morai, Alvars and Acharyas go back to their respective shrines. In the evening, Shelva Pillai, flanked by his charming consorts with the Adhyapakas, set in procession towards Kothara Mantapa and rests for a while. Panchopachara is offered to the deities. All Alvars and Acharyas, led by Vishwaksena, assemble in Kotharotsava Mantapa, dressed to have Divya Darshana of their master. God goes to each one of them and honors accordingly. Aryar offers his seva. The procession returns to the temple with Sri Ramanuja. The third enactment is the Mokshotsava on the last day. It is the day observed as Nammalvar, surrendering to the Lord for moksha, completely covered under tulsi. The entire group of divinities assembled and the devotees could not bear the separation and loss of Nammalvar. All of them pray to God in crescendo. Cheluva Narayana and Shelva Pillai, hearing the sincere prayer, sends back Nammalvar. The entire atmosphere is filled with joy and gratitude. This is the event of returning Nammalvar to the Bhaktas. Shattu Morai and Mangala is offered in the benign grace and presence of Cheluva Narayana Swami. The perpetuation of Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha is the reality of life, well demonstrated through Adhyayanotsava and Mokshotsava as the unique rituals of the Sri Vaishnava tradition. With a humble salutation to Sri Ramanujacharya, who endowed and established a tradition that has a socio-cultural relevance to past, present and future, bringing social harmony, keeping aside class, gender, caste and such sectarian distinctions. The ritual tradition followed at Melukote is evident of our rich socio-cultural heritage.
Vande Vedanta Karpura Chamikara Karandakam Ramanujaryam Haryanam Chudamanim Aharnisham Ramanujaryam Haryanam Chudamanim Aharnisham Haryanam Chudamanim Aharnisham
A research project was conceived in 2002 from Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts to document the temple rituals of Melukote Cheluvanarayana Swami temple. India is endowed with rich temple traditions, and Melukote traditions are pristine, pure and has been preserved till date. This project is covering both tangible and intangible cultural heritage of India, and particularly the Ramanuja tradition and the Pancharatra ritual tradition followed in entire South India. We are happy that this project was completed long back, but the release of the DVD and a book, full-fledged research book, is being released at this 1000 years of Ramanuja celebration.